Hey, welcome to Let's Talk Nation. I'm your man Rod Love, and with me tonight, man, I'm getting tongue tied tonight. Is none other than the General Attorney Greg Jackson.
Once
And
again,
then,
the song. Once again, the song, brother love. How's it going, man?
man, it's going well. It's going well. And we have, based on the topic we're going to talk about tonight, we have Doc Polite in the studio. Well, I guess online with us tonight. That's going to lend his expertise. But before we get started, brother Jackson, man, I got to let our audience know. Welcome to Let's Talk Nation. But tonight we're not asking a comfortable question. We're asking a necessary one. What happens when pain goes unspoken, when pressure goes untreated, and when brokenness inside a man begins to spill into his home, his relationships, and into the community? At what point do silence, pride, anger, and emotional isolation stop being private and then go public? Tonight's show, The Uncomfortable Truth, is not about blame for the sake of blame, and we're not making any excuses for anybody either. But it's about the truth, accountability, healing, and the courage to confront what's out there in front of us. Everybody knows on Let's Talk Nation, we have these tough conversations, and we appreciate you letting us know this is necessary. And so tonight, I have two brothers that we've been at it for a long time. And tonight, we're going to have this uncomfortable conversation, but we want the audience participation. But what we want you to know, realize, and understand is not one of us is smarter than all of us put together. So please join this conversation. And, just like running those relays, Brother Jackson, Dr. Light, we're gonna be passing the baton a lot tonight.
We've been together so long, we starting to look alike.
Hey.
If we keep Greg with some facial hair, we'll be in there.
I'm contemplating it. I'm contemplating it, man. I'm contemplating it.
Hey, so Brother Jackson, Doc, man, I mean, I guess there's, let's jump in, because what we're actually talking about, for everybody who's tuned in and they're just kind of wondering what has happened. And we're not going to equate this to being isolated to Black men. Doc, you and I had that conversation earlier, but we also see our show's algorithm, and we don't not want to speak directly to an audience that we think is definitely impacted by this. But Greg, you were talking earlier, man. We've seen tragedies take place in Coral Springs, in Louisiana, as of, I think it was yesterday. Also Virginia, and now I guess the latest report of California with this singer artist. What is it, Doc? David Four? D4?
Yeah, D4.
Yeah.
So how do we jump into this conversation?
Yeah, the D4 thing though has been around for a minute. So let's let's unpack some of the stuff that has recently happened that kind of prompted this conversation. Let's go to Coral Gables. So let's start in the great state of Florida, in our home state, and talk about kind of a situation of what happens, not just when a man is under pressure, but when a man is put in a situation where he's in a home with a successful woman. He's in a home with a woman who is garnering a lot of attention, who is now being seen as a superstar that's moving up the ranks in a certain area, in a certain field. And for a lot of men, unfortunately, and I don't want to put it on, as Brother Love doesn't want to put it on a specific race. I don't want to put it on a specific group. But for a lot of men, it's a hard thing when you're in a home with a woman who starts to outshine you and who's starting to get more attention. And it's a lot of men who can't handle the pressure of not being the breadwinner or not being the one that has the focus on them. And it could cause them to lose focus on what's important and to do things that no one could ever think of and imagine.
And Greg, let me go ahead and frame it. And thanks for that. But in Coral Springs, Florida, Vice Mayor Nancy Bowen was found dead in her home, and her husband was charged with a murder. She was widely seen as a rising star in the Democratic Party, and the case shocked the political waves as well as from a community perspective. And Greg, you hit it right on the head. This was something, and I don't know how much this applies, but you're right, Greg. This was a rising star, and do you think it was predicated upon this woman's success? I mean, I don't know where to go from there, man.
Well, I'll tell you what. It's certainly a thing that is part of the whole machismo thing for men, where we feel like we are the head, we are the breadwinners, we have to be out front. We're taught and told that, and and earlier we were talking about uh, how we fail to teach what true masculinity is, because we think that our jobs or our title or positions are who we are. No, that's what we do. That's not who we are. And far too many people don't have a identity outside of their vocation. And for many men, he's standing over here. We don't know if he was standing over here, but I'm sure that if he was certainly not within her circle, and he felt left out, that might have been some resentment. A lot of people don't stay married because, tell you the truth, spouses get jealous. They get jealous of each other.
You know what? But Doc, let me tell you something. You just hit on a point, and I don't know if you intended to do this. And you made a valid point. You say that a lot of people don't have an identity outside of their profession or their vocation. But there are times, and I've seen this, and it is troublesome, that a lot of times people don't have an identity outside of their relationship. You have these relationships where the woman or the man say, "Oh, this is my world. Oh, I can't live without this person." They dress alike. They can't go anywhere without the person being there with them. And a lot of times that person becomes so wrapped up into that other person that when that other person starts to grow and to achieve things, although they should be growing together and they should be happy for that person, because this person now feels like I have no identity outside of this relationship that we've grown. I can't have this person, just like, this person can't leave this relationship. This person can't outshine me because their identity is being, or our identity is being affected by them doing something other than me being their world. And a lot of times
Right,
when you see these things, that this jealousy happening, it's because it's because people mistake being in a relationship as losing their identity is what they
right,
do. And that's what it seems like in this particular case, because this young lady was first Haitian American female to ever hold office, first Haitian American vice mayor of Coral Gables, was getting a lot of attention, and this is something that he should have been happy for. But he saw this as, and his words was, "I couldn't take it anymore." What can you take anymore?
Yeah,
Her
yeah,
success?
success,
Yeah.
success. There's some people that can't handle success, and you see it. They don't know how to process it. Let me tell you. I don't know if y'all now know this. I'm a teacher of the word, but my wife is an ordained minister,
Mm-hmm.
and she can preach.
Mm.
And there are a lot of men that have said things kind of in a slick way to me about how you feel about your wife preaching. You know what I tell them? I say, when she come off that stage, off that dais, I got her water and I got her purse,
Uh-huh.
because that's her arena, not
Mm-hmm.
mine. I don't need to be jealous of her, because that's her gifting. Okay, that's her gifting. I have no problem, and that's the thing that I love about our relationship, is that we discuss where are we going together, who are we apart, and who are we together,
Mm-hmm.
and we work that out.
I think we're going to talk about quite a few things. But Dr. Nelson, he and I was having the same conversation earlier today, and we focused on the generational aspect of what we're seeing today. I mean, one of the things, and Doc, I know you have that mental health background, but man, when a man is humiliated, ashamed, all these things that you can go back and name, they don't go out and commit random acts externally. This stuff starts in the home first. And so I think one of the things, man, we got to say or ask the question is, as everybody does, and Greg, you're familiar more than anybody else when we talk about our good friend John Burns, when he talks about red flags.
Mm-hmm.
It's sad to be, man, I hate to say Monday morning quarterback and talking about red flags when you want to get out in front of things. And so, we often talk about wellness checks, support around you and things of that nature. And I don't know, man. I don't know, how do we get ahead of this stuff, because every tragedy that we see
it's got to start with mental health. It's got to start with that, because what we're seeing is a lot of people lack emotional IQ. Emotional IQ is learning how to respond to situations and circumstances in an appropriate manner when they come up. And a lot of people they lack that control. They don't think about, okay, I'm in the store and somebody jumps in front of me in the line. They instantly get mad. They grab the person, they hit them. They hit them, knock them into the register, hit their head, kill them. Now, right there, that momentary response has now shifted your entire life. Instead of you saying, hey, the line starts back there. Now, if they want to see, it's a conscious choice we got to teach. Okay, do you confront this person? Is it worth it? And me and Rod always talk about this. And I tell you, I don't go around people. I used to go around because they're doing things different than I want to do. I got too much to lose.
Yeah. At
this point in my life, than to be out there hanging out with them and get popped for some drugs and be facing 10 to 20.
But here's a question. Here's a question though, because I mean, you're bringing up some good points, Doc, and you're hitting some things, and I don't even, and no disrespect, I don't even know if you know what you hitting on, but you just hit on something. And here's the question: is jealousy a mental disease?
Good question.
No, jealousy is
not.
Think
about it. Before you jump to it, think about it. Think long and hard now. Is jealousy a mental disease? What are the signs, and what are the ramifications, and what are the effects of jealousy? A person who is jealous can also be seen as a person who is narcissistic.
But also
is narcissism.
Well,
yeah.
No, narcissism is first of all, it's not a mental defect because it's a human emotion. Okay, jealousy is a universal human emotion. All of us have it.
But what if it's to the extreme, Doc? What if jealousy is to the extreme?
Then that goes over into a different set of diagnosis that has other contributing factors to it.
But
see, when you look at when you diagnose
a mental health issue,
like when you go through the DSM-5 and you start looking at what does it mean to be a schizophrenic? Okay, you got about 10 points in there, but you got to hit a certain number of those points to be diagnosed as that. You get what I'm saying? It's not just one thing.
I get what you're saying, but Greg brought up a good point, and I really want to know, Doc. I mean, genuinely want to know, because I feel like if a person is experiencing a high degree of jealousy, that's just, I'm thinking that can push you over into some kind of mental health crisis. You tell me. Hey, and for those of you who are listening,
it could trigger anxiety disorders. It can trigger personality disorder, like borderline personality disorder. That can have a component of jealousy as part of the diagnosis.
So check this out, because like I said, Doc, you were mentioning something and it made me think. So there's something known as pathological jealousy, also known as morbid jealousy, is a psychological disorder characterized by pervasive preoccupation with the belief that one spouse, and I can't see the rest of it. So I think, and the reason why I say that you brought up a good point and a good question is because if we're not willing to look at jealousy as a mental illness, then we're not willing to try to find a cure for jealousy. Because think about it, jealousy is causing people to kill.
But okay, and so is wrath. You know what wrath is?
Extreme anger.
Extreme anger to the point that a person will not respond to any reasonable intervention. They are so angry that they will go on a tirade and destroy everything.
Is that synonymous when you talk about a person gets so angry that they see red?
Yeah, but it's not a mental disease or deficit. It is a state of being.
So
You get
check
what I'm
this out.
saying? In a
Now,
moment,
yeah.
because you don't stay jealous. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You
So
don't stay in a jealous state.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know if I agree with that. I don't know if I agree because if you're in a jealous state and you murder and you kill somebody and you kill yourself, then you stayed in a jealous state until the time that you
Well,
died.
I mean,
But now check this out. But now
in
check this
terms
out.
of
Right, hold on.
diagnosis.
Right. Check this out. Well, no, listen. In terms of diagnosis or not, we're gonna deal with real world situations now. So when you look at wrath, listen, because now we're getting biblical as well as the other stuff. So when you look at wrath biblically, wrath is a sin. Did you know
Yes.
that?
Yes.
Now, when you look at that biblically, did you know that jealousy is also considered a sin?
Yes. It is.
So
They are
listen,
sin.
so you have these two sins. One could be considered so outlandish and outrageous that it causes you to kill, and the other is equally to that point to where if it goes beyond a certain point. So the reason why I say it is that when people are afraid to say that jealousy may be a mental illness is because what we call jealousy starts off as something called puppy love.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? When you can't get off the phone with somebody and you want to hear them breathe, and you call them first thing in the morning, and you can't stop thinking about them. If they don't call you, you get angry, you get upset. You can't live without this. So if we're not willing to look at it for what it potentially is, now listen, I could be completely off, because that's your. But as you were talking about it, it made me think, and that's the analytical side of me. If we're not willing to look at jealousy for what it potentially is, which is a mental disorder or potentially a mental illness, then
It's
how can
not.
we start to treat people if they have these jealous tendencies?
It's the pathology of it. Does it meet the extremeness of it? Because again, I'm gonna go back to this. Everybody experiences jealousy. It's not a mental disease.
But everybody experiences anger.
But yes, but that's not a mental disease either. Anger is anger.
But we just talked about wrath, though.
The degree in which it interrupts and makes your life unmanageable. Are you to the point that your jealousy causes you to act irrational, be unrealistic, and pathological? Now you're willing to hurt,
listen,
lie,
that's
steal.
exactly what we're talking about. That's exactly what we're talking about.
But it's the degree. I'm trying to get you to understand. It's the degree of it. You can't classify it as a mental illness or a mental defect because it's a normal human emotion.
Listen, I hear what you're saying. I ain't buying what you're selling them. Because if it's a normal human emotion, you're talking about a normal human emotion that caused somebody to murder somebody. That's not a normal human emotion. It's an emotion. Now, listen, is feeling like you want to be with somebody and feeling that you don't want somebody to be away from you, is that normal? Yeah, can you miss somebody? Yeah,
it's
you can
a
miss
part
somebody.
of it. It can
But
be
when
a
you get to
part
that
of it.
other part, right? But when you get to that other part, where if that person not there, you in your brain, the next thing comes to your mind is I'm gonna kill this person or I'm gonna kill anybody that they
we got
with.
a call.
Hey,
We got a call.
fellas, I think this conversation is starting to make the phone starting to ring. We have a caller on Let's Talk Nation with us. Caller, how you doing this evening?
I'm doing well. I thought I might just add a couple of cents in here to our conversation, if that's all right.
Absolutely. How you doing, John?
You mean 2 cents?
I'm doing great, and it's wonderful listening to you all, and you're working very diligently at this. Part of the problem that we have is that when we look at the issues that you're discussing, like jealousy and this sort of thing, you ask yourself, of all the people over the last 12 months in the United States that have been jealous, what percentage of those people have gone out and murdered people? You wind up with a number that's less than 1%. So when we try to look at some of these elements and try to extrapolate them into this would be enough for someone to go out and murder someone, it becomes an unrealistic, it's difficult to connect those dots. That's why I developed the program that I developed, because anger, we talk a lot about anger and anger management. But the problem we have with anger is that you and I can experience and express the same anger differently. It's very difficult to measure. Therefore, it's very difficult to manage. That's why what we do is aggression management. Aggression can be measured in others and in ourselves, so we can better manage that. So when we look at aggressive behavior, we look at it in two forms. One is we call primal, the other cognitive. And these are measurable elements that we can see someone actually escalating before us. So if we can get in early enough, before this gets out of hand, then we can better redirect someone away from negative behavior into more positive behavior.
Hey, so John,
yeah.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but
Sure.
here's what, here's where I gotta just have you pick a side on this one, because Greg and Doc, iron sharpens iron around here, and I hear what you're saying, but here's the question I have for you. When you talk about, there's less than 1% that get to the extent that they get that jealous that they go out and take a life. I guess my question to you is, what's your opinion? Because I mean, Doc has, his mental health credentials, but what's your opinion? Do you believe that jealousy can be considered a mental health issue? And that's not excusing anything, but you got to pick a side here.
No, the question is it a mental?
Well,
is it
I'm
a
certainly
mental
not going to
illness?
pick a side against Doc, that's for sure. But I would say to you that the problem with using mental health is, once again, it's too subjective, and because of it, it can you can violate HIPAA regulations. So it's got all these impediments. So I look more strictly at aggressive behavior. So if your question is, can jealousy be a part of someone escalating? Sure.
No.
It's one element that we're looking for.
That's not the question.
If it's more
The question
adrenaline-driven,
is jealousy?
Let the man talk, Doc. Let the man talk.
No, because you're changing the scope of what you said.
No. So let me ask this question.
Okay, you said jealousy is a mental illness, correct?
You're talking to Greg, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So wait. So let me ask you this question though, because I'm hearing that only 1% of people in the world or in the U.S. die because of jealousy. So let me ask you this question: how many women every year are victims of domestic violence?
Oh, thousands, hundreds.
No, millions.
It's not
millions.
Hundreds. Millions.
No.
Okay.
Millions.
Okay.
So women who are victims of domestic violence, what percentage of those women who are victims of domestic violence do you believe is because of a jealous partner?
Okay, I would say, what about a controlling partner?
No. Just it doesn't matter, controlling or jealous. What percentage of those women, the millions of women who are victims of domestic violence, do you believe are victims of domestic violence because of a jealous or controlling partner?
I'd probably say a third of them.
So you're talking about a third of 1 million women who are victims of a crime because of jealousy.
Okay.
So my point is this. This is my thing. So
hey, but let me. Hey, John, want to go ahead and thank you?
Let me say this. Let me say this. I'm not gonna argue with a world-class lawyer, but Dr. Polite knows about mental health.
Element where you're reacting to something. I prefer to get into the world where you're actually preventing it from occurring.
You're right.
Research.
You're right.
Ask the question: is
there's already a
jealousy
victim,
a mental
perpetrator,
illness?
and both lives are going to be changed dramatically going forward. I'd rather get out in front of the event where right down to the whole concept of conflict resolution. We're reacting to someone already in conflict. We think conflict resolution prevents conflict, but in fact it doesn't. You're reacting to someone in conflict. So you already have a victim, you already have a perpetrator. What Greg and Doc are talking about is you already have a victim and you already have a perpetrator.
Hey, well, John,
I'd rather get out in front of that and prevent it.
Well, John, you're absolutely correct, but I want to finish watching these guys box. But thank you for dialing in, John. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
Take care.
So Doc said to do the research and see if jealousy is a mental illness. So here's what it says. It says jealousy, because remember, I just talked about this. Remember, I talked about pathological or morbid jealousy. I just talked about this.
Mhm.
Jealousy itself is a normal human emotion, which I don't agree with. But it can become a mental health condition when it is extreme, irrational, and persistent. That's the jealousy I'm talking about. I'm talking
Condition.
about when I'm talking about when people get to the point of where they are willing to take another person's life. And if we're not willing to look at that aspect of it and say, okay, how does
Oh,
a
okay.
person's mental get to the point where they want to take somebody else's life? We
This
have to look at it and to determine how to treat it.
this is where I think we getting off kilter. I'm not saying it can't be part of a mental illness process. I'm not saying that. It certainly can. But in and of itself, to stand by itself as a causation or diagnosis, no. It has to have some accompanying factors.
Okay, but wait, hold up, Doc. Hey, for those of you who tune in to Let's Talk Nation, we welcome your participation, your engagement. John Burns, thank you for dialing in. That phone number for anybody who wants to contribute to this conversation, that phone number is 407-921-6195. And I know that the discussion, the topic right now, we're talking about the Coral Gables tragedy of the vice mayor being murdered. But Greg, Doc, you're talking about jealousy in that aspect. Let me shift gears on you. Talk about the conversation that took place, I guess, yesterday or the day before with the Louisiana father who killed 8 children, 7 of them happened to be his own. I don't think that we're having a conversation about jealousy on this topic.
No.
What's your thoughts?
No, that's not jealousy. That's a whole nother set of craziness. Listen, man, that's just a whole nother set of craziness. For someone, listen, to take another human's life, like if I go out there and I just shoot a guy, that's a whole nother set of issues. But to shoot children, I mean, from 1 to 14 were the ages of these kids.
Yeah.
Listen, that's not just mental illness. That's evil. That's demonic, man. That's just plain evil. I don't know how you explain that away,
hey, Doc,
or whatever.
Doc, General, let me ask this question. This question also goes to our audience. When we talk about what's taking place with men and the level of violence that it's gotten to, why are men hurting their families? The deeper question that we need to be asking is, why men usually take the position that our families are sacred. But now we're seeing this anomaly that, our families are becoming the emotional dumping ground. So, address that, because that's something that, Greg, I don't know, I haven't seen it before, but now it's turning inward and not outward.
Well, I know that in many cases, these people, real or imagined, in their mind, it's often they've reached a crisis or feel like they've reached a crisis and nobody can answer to them or give them what they're looking for. Okay? Or they feel overwhelmed by life. Did this man, what we don't know what the trigger was for him to go in. Was it child support? Was it separation? Whatever it was that triggered him, that's going to come through the process of, we're going to know about that through the process of him standing trial. But it's got to be something. Now, there's always antecedents. It's always antecedents. People just don't know how to read them. Now, this man didn't just end up to that place. It was something in his behavior and character that was on display, but the people around him didn't know how to read that.
Okay, but you say people around him. General Doc, let me ask you a question. And the question is, how do people know when they actually need help? I mean, it may sound simple to us, but how do these individuals know when they've reached a point that they're about to cross a line?
They don't. They're not aware of that. They are not self-aware in that way, Rod. You're thinking that way because you're a centered person. Okay, you're not dealing with those stressors that they are. or whatever factors that trigger their mind to go there. So for you, it's unfathomable for you to leave the studio right now, go home and kill everybody in the house. That's not the state that you're in. Okay, mentally, that's not the space you're in. But what was the antecedent? What is going on in these people's lives so much that they believe it's beyond repair, it's hopeless, I'm gonna just take out everybody?
You know, I think sometimes they do give us signs, and especially the ones who survive, just like the young man, well, the young monster, I don't want to call him young man, that shot those two people on Florida State's campus. And you know, one of the themes that we hear is nobody liked me. I felt bullied. This other guy said, no girls liked me because I was ugly. I felt that God abandoned me. These are people who feel as if the world has turned its back on them, that they are abandoned, that they don't have anyone that they can turn to. And so the only thing that they can do is that they feel they can do is inflict pain on other people the way that the world has inflicted pain on them, which, listen, it's valid to them, but like you say, Doc, it's ludicrous to think that if I feel like the world has hurt me, my answer is to go out and to kill everybody in the house. But in their mind, that's the solution. In their mind, let me go up on campus, let me Google, go to ChatGPT and say, hey, if I do this shooting, how will it be reported and all of this other stuff. That's how they pay back the world for the feelings that they have, is by inflicting as much pain on other people. And I mean, this guy, when he killed 7 children, he did that knowing that was going to cause somebody a whole bunch of pain, and he didn't care. He wanted to inflict as much pain as possible on someone because he felt some type of pain. And what that pain is, we won't know, because the police, he was shot and killed by the police in this, I believe, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was shot and killed.
Hey,
And you're right. And the whole thing is that we expect, because we're lucid and we look at this stuff, and it's like, it's incredible to us because we don't think that way. We don't think about going in and shooting up the whole family and stuff. It never crossed our mind to function that way.
No.
You know, so it becomes a question mark to us. But if you ever want to understand the mind of a real killer, y'all remember this, audience. Y'all remember this. Go look this up. Edmund Kemper. Look up.
That's
Edmund
the guy in Florida,
Kemper.
Isn't that the guy in Florida?
Edmund Kemper is also known as the co-ed killer. He is the guy in which the FBI launched their behavioral science unit behind his interviews. This guy cut his mother, shot his grandparents first, went to prison for it till he was 20, got out. Nobody in the family wanted him in their house, but his mom went there. Him and his mom got into it, shot her, cut her head off, and had oral sex with her head. We can't even, we can't even grasp. Why would you do that?
But you know what? We're having this conversation. We've done 8 years of shows, and one that comes to me, and I think the level of engagement that we had with this, and both of you will remember this. We were talking before about the faith community, and realizing we got a real good positive response from this. Matter of fact, we had a few pastors that called into the show, and the discussion was to the extent that you have a lot of folk that will go to their faith leaders to have certain discussions. Those faith leaders got to have the wisdom to ascertain whether or not that's something that they can professionally respond to. And I mean, I sincerely believe that we really helped a number of people, because we had on that show, if y'all can remember, we had a few individuals that was calling the show saying that when they went to their faith leader for assistance, at that time, they don't believe that they were getting the right counseling because that wasn't that person's expertise. So as we have these conversations.
Well, ahead, I mean, you know, one of the things I would say, I'm all for pastoral counseling, 100%. But you got to know where the boundaries are. You got to know and recognize when you're dealing with someone who is having a life issue versus a mental issue. You know, if the person starts talking about death, destruction, and all of that kind of stuff, it's time for you to say, well, you know what? I got this therapist, this mental health therapist. I'm going to refer you to them. And there's a lot of pastors out there, I applaud them, that will do that. They'll recognize that and they will send them out. But just as many want to pray away the gay, you know?
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff. And you can't, this is people's lives. And as a shepherd, your first obligation is to guard the flock, get them the help, point them in the, you don't have to do it, point them in the right direction. And honestly, a lot of people of God know to do that now, much more than it used to be. Because I remember pastors growing up, all you need is to pray it away. And I always say, if you need a heart surgeon, why can't you have a mind doctor? You wouldn't tell them not to get open heart surgery if they need heart surgery or kidneys, would you?
You wouldn't. But you know what? Based on the conversation we're having right now, on one hand, we talked about the first topic, the Carl Springs situation, and we talked about the emotion of jealousy. On this one, we're saying that this young man, and we don't have a lot of background on him, that, you know, there's no excuse for what he did. But Doc, General, at the same token, we're having a conversation and we're talking about somebody being even kiltered. How do you explain the situation that just took place in Virginia with a lieutenant governor? A lieutenant governor who killed his wife with his teenage children in the home. So, Greg, Doc, how do you take that? I'm gonna hand that off to you.
Brother Jackson, go ahead.
Listen. Obviously, his his case, because like I said, sometimes they do leave us signs as to what's taking place. This guy, he was a rising star. He was, actually legitimately in the running to be the next governor of Virginia. As a matter of fact, when the then governor was on the hot seat for, I think it was being in blackface or something like that, the word came up that the governor was going to resign and he was going to be the next governor. But then, parts of his past caught up with him. Some women came forward and said that he had sexually assaulted them. And then all of a sudden his world just started to fall apart around him. And in falling apart around him, he became, started drinking more. His wife said he became more of a recluse. He and his wife were in the midst of getting a divorce, although they lived in the same home. They were talking about, separation of the home and things like that. So this guy went from being here to virtually losing, in his mind, everything that defined him. Like what Doc was saying, some people are defined by their vocation. And that's what this guy was defined by, what other people thought about him and his career.
And many times in circumstances like this, people look for a scapegoat. And I think that that's what he did with the ex-wife or the estranged wife. I think that he took her out because he saw where he was and her being a contributing factor to his downfall.
But I'm
just speculating, but it kind of fits that pattern.
No. But are you talking about the lieutenant governor situation?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. But I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that. I think I might go back to agree with what Greg said earlier when we were talking about the first case. This guy's wife was the head of her own dental practice, so that might have something additional to do to it. In addition to, Greg, what you were saying in terms of some of the things that took place with him that contributed to his fall.
What would be his reason for being jealous, though?
What would his reason for being jealous?
She
had a very successful dental practice too.
Well, up until he got in trouble, he was very successful.
Well, you know what? One of the questions, and we've opened this up because, we're saying we're having a conversation about black men right now, but this, to me, crosses the board for all men. And, the question is, men are often expected to be the providers, protectors, the performers, and stabilizing families. But when you talk about, and Doc, you referenced this before about the emotional training, it's almost like, being a parent. It doesn't come with a guide. And so when we talk about,
most men are thrown into the situation at some point in their life where they're told to suck it up, don't cry about it, don't tell nobody your business, and be a man, stand up. You can soldier your way through it. You can get over this. We're not encouraged to emote. We're not encouraged to share. And many times, I'm gonna be honest, for Black men, when we try to be vulnerable with Black women, it backfires.
Mm.
It backfires because they will come back later on
and use it against you.
And use it against you. I've
Yep.
had that happen to me. Now, thank God I'm in a relationship that doesn't happen, but you better believe I have experienced that time and time again, where I shared something and then it was thrown back in my face as a way to attack me or try to hurt me.
Mm-hmm.
But that don't automatically revert into violence. I mean,
no, and that's everybody can't handle stress. Everybody just can't.
So let me run down this list, man, because here are some of the drivers that are believed to be behind the crisis, and one of the drivers are unresolved trauma. What would you say to that?
I would say that's the number one. That's the number one issue, unresolved trauma, especially from childhoods. Man, childhood has much more power over people than we think it does.
Hey, here's what I never heard before. Here's what I never heard before. Emotional illiteracy.
That's emotional IQ.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Not knowing how to emotionally respond to an appropriate level based on what's taking place.
Well, here's one that I think probably holds more people back than pushes them forward when you have the conversation about mental health stigma.
In America, what's the number one expressed public emotion?
Tell us.
Anger. You see anger acted out almost without restraint.
Well,
you see it in the gas station, in the grocery store, in traffic, at a game, in politics. You always see that anger. It's right there, and we will display it. We will publicly display anger without regards.
And one of the other drivers, the last driver that said to contribute to this crisis, is the relationship breakdown and the loss of control.
The loss of what?
Loss of control. So you have individuals and they're the breadwinners, and the relationship breaks down, and now because you're the breadwinner, you still don't have that governing control. When the relationship is gone, the other person not caring about the fact that you have been the breadwinner. Now they're looking for a different kind of freedom. And so
let me ask both of y'all this, and we can share. Don't go into detail, but Brother Jackson, what is the dynamic of your relationship with your wife? Are y'all partners, or do you one has to lead and one has to follow, or is it a constant help me situation?
I think it's dynamic. It just kind of depends on the circumstance, situation, who's doing what, who's trying to accomplish what at whatever period and space we are in our relationship. So I mean, there are times when obviously I lead. There are times when she leads. There are times when we co-lead, and so it's just kind of like situational. And we kind of recognize that. So at least I hope so. I hope, get on the phone, ask her the same question. Shoot. I hope that's what we're doing.
What about you, Brother Rod?
I mean, I would go ahead and say it's a dynamic relationship. But see, here's the other thing that I will contribute to it is that, you have people that walk around and talk about 50-50 relationships. I don't believe any relationships, you know what? I take that back. It could be whatever you put in for, but in some relationships, it's not going to always be that what you want to believe 50-50. And some things I might be overbearing, and other things my wife might be overbearing, but it is so fluid and dynamic that because of the ability to communicate, that's why I think it works the way it works, man. I mean, so I would go ahead and say, man, the dynamic relationship works for me and my wife.
I always tell men, if you have to tell your wife you the man, you're not the man. You're not the man. If you have to announce it. But I agree. My relationship is pretty much the same. One of the things that I consciously did in this marriage is make sure that we are partners in everything. Not separate and go, well, you got your stuff, I got my stuff. You do this, I do this. That kind of thing. Because I know that it can cause problems. We don't have division in our relationship. We have problems, and we solve our problems together. That's how we see it. Okay, this is this is the problem. It's not your fault. It's not my fault. Here's the problem. So let's get together and solve
it. So Doc, Greg, we got 10 minutes left. I want to hit you with a few things. And these are coming. The national conversation and points of discussion is the hard questions. Why are so many Black men emotionally undeveloped but socially overburdened? Either one of you can jump on that.
I mean, I think. Listen, I think we've hit that nail on the head. Is because growing up, we're told not to cry, not to have feelings, not to share things and things like that. But I'm telling you, the other thing too is, I mean, this whole movement that started, I want to say in the early 2000s, when they felt that it was necessary to tell Black boys and Black men that they don't matter, just for the sake of uplifting Black women and Black girls. Now, don't get me wrong. I think that it is very much appropriate to tell Black women and Black girls that they are just as capable as, and that they can achieve anything. But you don't do that on the heels of telling Black men, sit back and shut up and don't say nothing. We got this. I think that was very much a problem, with political movements and every other type of movement, when people started to say and to express that Black men don't matter, and that our feelings don't matter, that our emotions don't matter, that our contributions don't matter. And so I think that we need to move away, from that dynamic of people telling us that we don't matter. And that, listen, and that's why this last election was what it was. As much as people want to ignore it, the reason why so many Black men moved to the other side is because we felt as if we were being taken advantage of by the Democratic Party.
Good
you
point.
Vote this way because you're Black. You vote this way. You don't have any other choice. And if you vote any other type of way, then you're not really Black. I mean, come on now. I mean,
exactly.
We've been told
Ain't that what Biden said?
If
you don't vote for him, you ain't Black.
Yeah, good point, brother. Hey, a friend to the show, and I gotta read this question for either one of you from Paula Hosington. How do you get an individual to acknowledge, recognize childhood trauma in order to deal with it as an adult?
Send them to a qualified mental health specialist, because you're not going to do it.
So
because it's a process. It's a process of awareness and awakening. Think about how many ACEs tests you've given out, Rod, and what it revealed.
You're right. You're absolutely correct. But you know what? Information is powerful, but if you have information and people not using it, it's useless.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, so the next question for either one of you, and thank you, Ms. Hosington. Why do men know how to perform strength, but not be able to practice healing?
What?
Yeah, because some of the I don't know if I understand
that. Why do some men know how to perform strength? Basically, their persona is this position of, like you both were talking about earlier, being the provider, being the man. But then when it comes to themselves or in their own homes, being in a position to help heal what ails them or their family. And I think that comes back down to knowing what you're not good at and reaching out for help. I think that's the answer to that question.
How do you define strength?
Or heal? Yeah, let's define strength and heal on this one.
Well, well, I'm just reading one of the notes that we got in from one of the.
I get it.
So I don't want to go and redefine it for them. But
I got you. But
listen, because the reason why I say that though is because it's just like people saying that that the best cooks are women, but all of the great chefs in the world are men. I think that men can heal. It's all situational in my perspective. Because there's certain things and certain situations where you have to have a man to come in, and when you say heal, I'm assuming that we mean to help to bring some resolve to a circumstance or a situation.
Yeah. Hey, Greg, Doc, I think you two answered this already, but this is a good question. And it says, why are anger and silence still more socially acceptable for men than honesty and therapy?
Because we don't know how to emote. We don't know any other emotion. That's our default. We mean mug each other. Think about it. We pass another dude with us. And that's it. Yeah. We look them up and down. I mean, it's a survival. It's a mask. It's our uniform.
Yeah.
And that goes back to what you were talking about the strong. That it's not strength. It's a mask. 9 times out of 10, it's a mask. Being a man is about being in harmony with all of yourself. We all got a soft side. We don't go in and always rough with our kids. You know, my grandsons came the other day. This grandson number 3, he came, he got on grandpa's lap, and he's 10 years old, and I held him like a baby. That's our bond. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's our bond. And I want him to be a little boy. I want him to experience the love of a man. And I tell his dad all the time, you got to love on your boys.
Yeah. Greg, Doc, here's a good one. And Greg, I didn't expect to see what I see in this question here, but it talks about normalizing mental health care for Black men. But it goes on to say we need a direct public campaign. And we talked about faith communities already. It has that in here. It talks about fatherhood groups. And it references podcasts and civic organizations, but it has something else in here, Greg, 2 other areas that I hadn't seen before. And it also includes fraternities and barbershops. And I mean,
listen, we've been a part of a couple of those, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Barbershop groups with fraternities.
Hey, thank you to the person who sent that in. That's yeah. But bottom line is, where do we go from here, and how do we build upon this? Doc, I'm gonna go ahead and defer to you first, and Greg, if you would follow up after Doc.
Well, I'd say this: we as men have got to come together and solve this for ourselves. We can't continue to look left and right and know that our brother is hurting, but yet still we stay silent and let them go unsupported and deal with that alone. Because a lot of times too, brothers don't know what to say to each other.
Yeah.
In those circumstances, they don't know what to say. You know, are you hurting? Are you sad? You know, man, I understand. Most of the time when we do offer support, it's like, man, forget her or what, you know, whatever. It's just an offhanded remark. It's not really dealing with the emotions behind the circumstances and the causation.
But you know, so some of your wellness groups, if you would, and I'm gonna just say, for example, because I witnessed this, the groups that I play golf in, getting out there, man, and striking that ball for 4 hours and emoting about what's going on in your life is a venting ability. So there are some things where you got support people in your group. But Greg,
hold on. When you told me that this morning,
go ahead, Doc.
When you told me that this morning, it was one thing you said. You didn't want to call it a wellness group. Remember that?
Yeah.
Why? See, stigma in our minds, assigning that to what it is, but it is. It's a wellness group.
Hey, Doc, that was good therapy. That was a good conversation earlier too. You're right.
Okay, I just wanted to make that point.
You're right. You're right. You're absolutely right.
That's part of it, because we see it as a stigma to acknowledge we need wellness and things like that. So,
the general.
I mean, I think a lot of it is we need to continue to have the conversations. One of the things that we always hear, whether it's you, Doc, or myself, is that we don't have enough voices like this voice here, and we have to be willing to accept our assignment in this platform, which is to create conversations for us to address certain issues that we have. And one of those assignments, and we've addressed that through the barbershop conversations with fraternities. We've addressed it even when we had an abuser to come and sit on our show and talk about why he abused and how he how he moved away from doing those things. Yeah. So I mean, we have to continue to be the forebears and the leaders on having these tough conversations where people feel comfortable saying, hey, this is how I feel. And and a lot of times when someone says, hey, this is how I feel, we can always say, I had that feeling one time before and this is how I got over it. Or as Doc said, hey, you need to go get some help. Because I know I felt it, but I didn't feel it that way. So you really need to consider getting some help. So I think, where we go from here is to continue to have these conversations and having the willingness to open up for conversations like this. And I will say this, unless and until we accept jealousy as some form of a mental illness, man, people are going, this thing's going to get bad. I'm telling you, man, we got kids growing up thinking it's cute to be, to pull on their girlfriends.
I tell you, I would tell you to write the APA, the American Psychology Association, and tell them to put that in the DSM-6, the next abridged version.
Hey, y'all two get.
Hey, listen. You give them enough money, they'll put anything in there, man. I'll do it. I'm gonna call them.
Yeah,
y'all two get me in trouble, and I know we're getting up to a hard stop, but I got this message that say you got to ask this question to both of you, and the question is, while we're having this conversation about Black men and our care and our concern about their wellness, where do women fit in this conversation with supporting and helping these men? Either one of you can start on that real quick. Doc, you're not going to be quiet.
I'm going to tell you this. I don't believe that this is an issue that we need women to be involved in. That's my perspective.
Okay.
Because it's got to come from a place about our experiences as men. See, I wouldn't want to sit in a women's conference and tell women this is what you ought to be doing as a woman, because I don't have the experience of being a woman.
Hey, Doc, point taken. And then sometimes people got to hear the hard truth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I mean, listen, I agree with that too. I mean, but that's women being women. They want to help to solve the problems of the world by being engaged and involved. But in this particular case, the best way for women to support men in this is to allow men to be men and to associate with men. Because if they do that, then they will get a man out of that product.
Ooh, yeah.
Hey, I love it.
And stop telling men how to be men. You don't know.
Yeah. Nope.
Hey, fellas. Hey,
that's the biggest problem with women. They want to tell
men
how to be men.
Real man. Yeah, you ain't no real. You don't know how to treat no woman. How you know? How many? Never mind. I don't.
Hey, to all of you who are tuned in to Let's Talk Nation, and this episode, we're really drilling down and talking about the tragedies that have taken place and trying to come up with some real solutions. We appreciate you staying tuned in. We appreciate what you contributed to the show, Doc Polite, the General. Hey, I'm just gonna say this to y'all, man. Y'all don't have to go home,
but you got to get out of here.
Hey, tune in next week on Let's Talk Nation. We'll have something else good for you, but we appreciate y'all tuning in, and we'll see you next week.